Okay, I think I was cut off there at the end. So let's take a look at this sort. So really, here's what's doing. We got a loop where we basically start at one position and then we go from there to the right. Let me do it this way so you're right. So we start at this position and then we go to the right looking for the lowest number. Once we find the lowest number, we swap those two positions. Okay. Then we go to the next position. So that's the outer loop. So the inner loop is going through find the lowest number. So the outer loop is going starting position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4. And then the inner loop is going through looking for the lowest number, and then it does a swap. So basically here's how it looks. I'm going to go ahead and put this code out there so that you can see it. So basically here's what it does. Here I've created two arrays. I've got a num array, and here's 572891, just like in the book. And then I've created what's called an out array, and it's basically equal to the selection sort. So it's calling this method and passing this num array, and we're going to get back hopefully a sorted array. So and then what I do, so before I continue, so coming down here, this again, I'm bringing in an array, an index, or I should say an integer array, and then I basically go through and I'm looking for, so this first one starts at position 0, position 1, and basically goes from there. And then this loop here is finding the lowest number to the right of that position, and once it finds it, it does a swap. So here we've got 572891. If I run this, again, here's my for loop to display these sets of numbers and 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9. So it did just a fine job. So this is one of those methods that you would like to just kind of keep stored on your computer somewhere to kind of use it when you need it, kind of a situation. So that's basically a sort. There's another one called a bubble sort. Does the same thing. It kind of, think of a bubble. The bubble always floats to the top. Well, if you do a search for bubble sorts, it'll look similar to this. It takes the lowest number and always brings it to the top and pushes it in that first position, which is basically what this is doing as well. Okay, the next thing it talks about is the binary search algorithm. And binary search, let's talk about, there's basically two flavors of searching. We have what's called a linear search and a binary search. Now a linear search starts with L-I-N-E, line, and that's exactly what it does. It goes line by line looking for something. So if I have 10,000 lines of data, it has to go through 10,000 lines searching for what I'm looking for. Now a binary search uses the sort in conjunction with the search, and here's how it works. It takes the data, in this case an array, and sorts it. And then what it does is it cuts it in half, and it says what you're searching for, is it in this half or this half? It's in this half, then it takes just that half and cuts it in half and says, is what you're looking for in this half or this half? And it keeps cutting the halves in half each time until it finally drills down. And there's some mathematical equation that allows you to, there's only so many times it's going to cut in half until it finds it, and that's basically mathematics at that point. So very, very, very fast search. Let's take a look at it. Here we've got a first, last, middle, and then we've got a position, all integers. We've got a Boolean found switch. So we set first equals 0, last equals to the array -1. So we want to take the length and make it -1 so that we're just inside of that. Our position is going to be equal to -1. So we're going to start outside of that to the left and then say found equals false. So while not found, meaning false, and the first is less than last, in this case, where's last is okay. So first is 0, last is going to be the end of the array length. Again, has to be sorted. This really will not work unless it's sorted. So this array must be sorted first. So then, while found, so basically says, well, haven't found anything, and the first is less than the last. we can continue on. The middle is equal to first plus last divided by 2. So we're going by the length. We're looking for that middle section. And then we're going to say, is the array middle equal to the value? Okay. If the array is greater than the value, okay, so basically what we're trying to find out is what half are you in, and then we basically keep doing that, and finally we will get to the position and return that. And the sorry, if right here, if the array, so basically if the element of that array is equal to the value we're searching for, we set found equals true and the position equals middle, and we basically return our position. We're good to go. So pretty neat thing there, and I'll actually put this out there as well. I'll try to change the code a little bit so that the sort is in there, so you can use the sort to sort it and then basically pass that array down to the array list, that array search. So binary search, pretty cool stuff there. Page 472 gets into what's called command line arguments and variable length arguments. This is when you invoke a Java program from the operating system command line, you can specify arguments that are passed to the main method. Okay, so basically that's what you notice how we have the args as an array in our main. So right here we've got string args. So if we're using the command line, we can actually Java basically get our program to execute. We can actually pass elements of an array, or we can actually pass a data of an array to that guy. And so if we look at the command line, that's kind of what this guy is doing. It says for index 0, so we set an integer index equal to 0, and while the index is less than the args.length. So here's args being brought in our main, and we basically can then, so we can actually then execute this from the command line and pass some elements into an array, and it will basically go ahead and print those out, so we can actually process those. So if you always wondered what that array element, or that array situation is doing there in the main, that's basically what's going on there. We have variable length argument lists. Sometimes we don't know how big an array is. Okay, so let's take a look at the array list. I'm sorry, wrong one. The variable arguments demo. So here we have, again, I'm on page 475. So here I have I create an integer data type called results, and results equals the sum of 10 and 20. Well, again, you can see that's italicized, so we probably have a method called sum down here, and sure enough, there it is. Now, if we look, there I've got 10 comma 20. Sys out print result. Wow, what's that all about? So the result equals sum 10. So look at, I can pass 2 elements, I can pass 4 elements, I can pass 6 elements. Wow, so how does that work? Well, what I do is I say int ... numbers. So what I'm telling it is I'm receiving something and I don't know what they are. It could be one number, it could be a whole string, or I'm sorry, not string, I never want to use it's not string, but a whole bunch of numbers I'm passing in. So int total equals 0, so I'm initializing integer data variable as 0, and then I say for int val. Okay, so I'm saying is every time I go through this loop, I've got a variable called val, and I'm going to take this numbers, take the first number, throw it into val, do whatever I need to do to val, then go back around, grab the next number, throw it into val, do whatever I need to do, grab the next number, throw it into val, the next number. So that's kind of cool. So it's basically it's like an array. So as you can see here, so every time I go through numbers, I throw it into this variable called val, and then I say total plus equal val. So I'm actually taking whatever's in total, which is 0, and I'm adding each number in that array basically to that, and then I return the total, and basically that's how I print it. Okay, so if I were to run this, I've got 30 because 10 and 20 is 30, and then 30, 60, 100, and then 50 and 60 is another 110, so it'd be 210, right? So pretty cool. So I'm not declaring an array, but I'm using it like an array. So I just pass. So I just do an int dot dot dot, and that says I'm bringing in more than one item into this, or I should say, more, in this case, more than one integer, or it could be one or many integers into this. And I'm going to bring it in as this array called numbers. Okay, pretty cool stuff there. If we take a look at the next one, we're not going to look at number 2 because 2 gets into object-oriented stuff, so skip variable arguments demo 2. But let's take a look at number 3. And so there I'm using basically, here's course average, intro to Java, course average, web programming. So notice I've got a string, okay? So I come in here, and here's my course average, and I've got a total and an average. And I say system out course. So here I've got string course and double scores. So it knows, look at this, it's got a string and it's got doubles. We've got mixed data types in there. So it knows when I'm passing this into it, this first item is a string, and then I've got multiple doubles coming in. There's the double dot dot dot. So when you see double dot dot dot, think of that like an array. We don't know how many elements we're getting, and we're throwing it into scores. So there I've got string course. That's going to be this web programming or the intro to Java. I come down here and I say the course name is whatever course I'm passing it, and I say for double S equals scores. So basically I'm saying every time I go through this, I'm going to grab the first element of this scores array and throw it into S. Do what I need to do with S, and come back through, grab the next element, next element, next element, and throw it into S. And then I can actually say average equals total divided by the scores.length. So the number of elements in there, divide by that, and then basically print out the average. So I can get the total and the average in one fell swoop. So do a run of this, and there we have course name intro to Java, there's the average, and there's web programming, there's their average. So pretty cool stuff there as well. If we take a look at the variable array number 4, demo number 4. So here I've got actually declare an array, and I've got int result, and the result equals sum 20, 10, 20. We've seen that before, and sum of that. And then look at this, I can actually say result equals sum values. Well, values is my array. Well, it doesn't matter. That's basically what this is saying. I'm either going to get a series of numbers, which is basically an array separate by a comma, or I'm going to get an array, or I could get one number. And it basically then, again, each time it goes through this array called numbers, it throws each element into val one at a time. So pretty cool stuff there. Pretty cool stuff. We've got one more thing to cover in this chapter, and we'll be done. We're going to cover the array list, so we'll see that in just a little bit.